to talk about a lot of technology, but actually, when I was asked to talk about technology in a broader sense, I thought, well, what is that common thread that runs across all of the future technologies, and what's really important before we even get to applying those technologies. But as a way of kicking off, I just want to do a very quick survey in the room here. So how many of you think you have the digital skills for the jobs you do today? Just a quick show of hands. Okay, so there's quite a few of you. How many of you have actually been tested? It's okay, I'm not going to test you, so you don't need to worry. Nobody. Well, that's quite a common thread. The reason I ask is because I recently came across a piece of research. A university, as part of its engineering cohort, its admissions process asked 300 students about their digital skills and said, do you think you need any help with your digital skills for your 3 to 4 years in university? 100% said, no, I don't need any help, I'm pretty good, thank you. Which is what most people would expect of 18-year-olds. When they got to university in their first year, they were all tested. And guess what? 90% failed the test. Interesting. Don't worry, I'm not going to test you. So, ECITB. So, the last 12 to 18 months, it's been thinking about the future, what our offering is, and skills, and what we're going to do about it. So, we've done some labour market intelligence work. We've looked at future technology. My job really is to think about what it is that we're going to need to do for the future to make sure we have the right skills. And I've come up with 5 areas. And right at the top, digital skills for everybody. That's what we're going to talk about. But actually, I talk about leadership and technology itself, technology and education, not just what we teach, but how we teach it. But also, our own internal organisation. We can't keep talking about this in the 3rd term. So that's very important. So when I put this slide in front of our executive and board, they said, digital skills for all. What do you mean? You don't mean everybody, you mean them, the kids. I said, I'm not so sure about that. So I got to thinking about, what do I really mean for all? So I'm going to take you through a day I had on a train journey. So in gathering information to come up with the strategy, I went to see a lot of people around the UK, as many people as I could, to talk about what other sectors were doing, what people were doing to prepare for the future. On one of those days, I took a train from Derby, where I live, to Manchester to go and see a friend. And we'll come on to him in a minute. But my journey consists of, for those who don't know, Derby to Manchester is a Derby to Sheffield stopover changing into Manchester. So this is how I buy my ticket. I go to a portal down the bottom right-hand side and needs a little bit of digital skills. And I'm sure some of you do something very similar. I order the ticket online. I then revert to analog by printing the details on paper because I need that reassurance. I go to the train station, I take out my credit card, put it in a machine, and get out some paper tickets. I have the option for the same ticket in a phone version, but I don't do that because I'm scared. Okay? So the interesting thing is I get onto the train and I'm sat next to a student who's going to Sheffield. Now the student has purchased his ticket using his mobile. Now the interesting thing about the student is I went to Sheffield University as was the student on the day, and he also lives in Derby. I moved from Derby to Sheffield and lived there for 3 years. He commutes every day. And his primary reason isn't money, saving on housing. His primary reason is this: he doesn't need to be at university. He can get everything he needs online via a watch, his phone, his tablet, his headphones. He turns up for the occasional lecture, he can get everything he needs, and he can do all that remotely. Fantastic. Now, on gets a lady. Now, she's just turned 61, and she told me, so I didn't ask her, don't worry. She's in a bit of a huff. She's only just about got on the train, and she starts to explain to me, well, I'm ever so sorry, I'm in a bit of a huff. So I make the mistake of asking her if everything's okay, and she says, well, I'm really annoyed. I've had to queue for my ticket. Why did you have to queue? I buy my tickets with cash. I've had to queue with the longest queue in the station. I never got a paper ticket. Me and the student say to her, well, why don't you, there's other ways of getting it, there's other digital formats. She says, I've got no digital skills, I've got no computer skills. Which is really interesting. My parents are a little bit older and they still use cash. Now the interesting thing about the lady is she turns to me and the student and asks us what we do for a living. And I made the mistake of telling her my title, Head of Technology. She says, well, maybe you can explain this contactless world. How do I buy this ticket? So I take her through a little bit of a journey of how you buy a ticket. She turns to me and she says, no thanks, I think I'll stick to the cash. She asked the student to explain. The student says, I don't really understand. This is an engineering student. I don't really understand, but I don't really want to understand. It works. I just get on with it. I'm happy with it. So, I finally get to Manchester and I want to see a friend to ask him. He's a very senior person in finance. So he manages around £4 to £5 billion a year of our money in terms of pension investments. He employs around 450 people globally. So I asked him about his financial world in terms of how that world is preparing for the future. He talked to me about financial technology, fintech, and the way the world is changing. And it's a really great story. And at the end of it, as a friend, I said to him, what about your personal skills? And this is what he said to me. Yeah, the thing is, I'm quite good in Word. I'm a little bit better in Excel. PowerPoint, I'm a bit dodgy because I keep changing the functionality. I can text. I can surf the internet. I can use some of the corporate systems. And for everything else, I ask my PA to do it. Senior leader. Okay? But my journey hasn't finished. I made the journey all the way back home and started making some notes about the sorts of people and what they think and what digital skills are, what they actually mean. And I get home to my 11-year-old and 13-year-old having an argument with their mother, which is the same argument. You know, that's not work, that's gaming. You spend far too much time on the internet, on your tablets, on your phones. That's not homework. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Once that argument is done, the interesting thing is my wife asked me about my day and I explained to her about the old lady. Now, the interesting thing is my wife is a data analyst. She's what we'd call a specialist of 20 years. So she then tries to explain to me how the world works in a language, as an engineer, I didn't understand. Interesting. And then eventually I make it to the port for a pint with my brother. Now, he's semi-skilled painter and decorator, apprentice trained, and recently moved to a company as a people manager, working for a very large logistics warehouse in the East Midlands. He has very little, I'd say no, digital skills. But he runs and manages a big team of operatives who interface with a screen every day to make sure the bits that we all order online arrive in time, and make sure it's the right thing. But things keep going wrong. And he is in a constant battle with the management about why things go wrong. And this is what he tells me. They won't invest in any people because the systems are designed so that people can get it wrong. But it goes wrong. We don't understand. So that's where he is. So what's my take on all of this? It's not very easy. What digital skills mean is different to different people at different ages. So there's no one easy made solution for this. So it's going to be much harder than people think. Okay? So what are we doing about it? So we're doing the easy bit, to be honest. For the bits that we own, the skills, we're making sure that we mandate digital skills into our national occupational standards. Now, I joined ECITB a year ago, and I was very surprised that you can go to college in FE and not have any qualification, no pre-qualification requirement, which is digitally related, which I find really odd. You can get sat in front of a computer to do your coursework, but nobody's ever tested you to whether you can use it or not. So I've been going around some of our FE providers and talking to them about this. And what they're all saying in private is, yeah, it's a problem, yeah, but we don't know what to do about it. We know there's a problem. Employers are saying the same thing. So I've been working with DFE, which has been a struggle because DFE doesn't own digital skills. There's no nationally recognised standards. How odd. There's other areas as well. So I just want to leave you with a final thought. In researching education technology, I came across this article about a school in Scotland where the primary school hit a 50% level of education where half of everything that was learned by the children was through some sort of digital format or media. Half. and they're trying to achieve 75% within 3 years. So, in 10 years from now, these will be the apprentices of the future, so how are they going to learn? I don't want them to get there, there's no standard in place. And it's not just them, it's everybody. So it doesn't matter what age you're at, whether you're the 61-year-old, and by the way, the lady told me she's planning to work till 70. So what we're going to do with someone who's still got 9 years to work, what education are we going to give them to get best value? Thank you for listening.